4th Brad Keselowski, 5th Jimmy Johnson, 6th Jamie McMurray. These are veterans.
Prepare to fight.
In fairness, Ryan Blaney did blow up spectacularly. A giant comet that could be seen from Mars, I'm pretty sure, streaking across the Charlotte Speedway. But you're right, it just was the old guard that really, the cream of the crop, it rose.
The official results from NASCAR has 35 drivers finishing the race, or running at the end of the race. And it says 36 Ryan Blaney engine.
Yeah. That was quite a sight. Even on, that was something that I actually took off of fast forward just to watch it real time. His engine blew, he pulled it down to the apron, got out of the car, fire extinguishing, and it was still just burning. It was quite spectacular. I'm glad that he's okay. It's going to be a lot of work for the Penske crew, though. And as one of the commentators said, 112 car got to victory lane for Roger Penske on Sunday, and one certainly did not.
Yes, absolutely. Let's move on.
Do another question then.
Oh,
Might need to pause.
do just dip your mic for a second.
What do the following drivers have in common?
Right.
Al Unser,
Yeah.
Jacques Lazier, Stephen Wilson,
I know.
Gaston Chevrolet. And I want
I
you've
know.
got to be really specific here, Shay. Go on.
Both they and their brother have led the Indy 500.
I need one more word.
And haven't won the race.
No.
No.
So
I don't know. I don't know the other word.
They've all had an older brother.
Older
who
brother.
Had previously
Older.
led
yes,
the
good.
Indy 500.
Very good. Which takes us on to the second least interesting race of the weekend. Monaco was the least interesting. I have to say, I did not find there was bits of the. I watched it all. I watched every single lap of the Indy 500. Johnny Palmer was here actually, called in on his way back from Italy to watch it. I mean, we barbecued some, grilled some burgers, some sausages, and made some bits and pieces, and sat and watched it. I mean, you know, and I enjoyed it, ish. But the new cars really don't like running closely together, despite the fact that they are supposed to be less aero dependent, and maybe that's why. A lot of bizarre accidents, one car accidents. We lost Bourdais, Danica, Elio, Canaan, Ed Jones. They all went basically on their own. It was an extraordinary race, ending interesting, a little bit of strategy playing out, but I mean overall, Shay, did it grab your attention?
It held my attention at the time.
Yeah.
But will I think back on it as one of the greats? Absolutely not. Will I remember specific moments from it as thinking, wow, that's great racing? No, probably not. I'm thrilled for Mr. Penske that the captain got his 17th win, which still boggles the mind. Next year is his 50th attempt at the race, by the way, so that'll be something notable as well. But the best part of the race for me, and not to take anything away from the racing, Kelly Clarkson singing the anthem. She was really good.
Yeah, I think she went slightly flat right at the end, but I liked it. I loved the B2 going across as well. But fortunately, the international feed put away just as they got onto the B2, so we missed that. Listen, it's a huge event. Don't get me wrong. It's the same as Monaco. Monaco left me nonplussed, as Nick and I were talking about earlier on. IndyCar and the Indy 500, the 102nd Indy 500 did not exactly leave me thinking, well, I wish that was finished, and that was it. That was great. I didn't watch an awful lot of the post-race show. In fact, no, I switched over and watched the highlights of the World Superbike. That's how little it grabbed me. At the end, I mean, what? Steph Steph Wilson was what, 4 laps away?
Oh,
10 miles away from winning the race, and they brought him in. He's not in the championship. He's not in the championship hunt. Leave him out there. Have a cough and splutter. Really?
But it's 10 miles. 4 laps is 10 miles. You're not going to coast for 10 miles. So he had to have been that close. And the same thing goes for Jack Harvey with the MSR effort, the pink car that was running in 3rd at the time of the restart. It was one of those things that you felt like when Will Power made the pass on Scott Dixon well before the last caution, that was the move of the race, because that was for the win.
Ed Carpenter again is the bridesmaid, again pole position, again a car that looked dominant, particularly in clear air. When he was at the front of the field, no one could get anywhere near him. Early on after the restarts, even I think it was TK got past him, didn't he? Early on, and he passed him straight back. I mean, I don't know what to say about Ed Carpenter. They can clearly put a good car together, although Danicus didn't seem to be to her like it. But Ed himself is an absolute maestro on the 2.5 miles of Indianapolis, and once again, having had a really good shot at it, he's competitive.
Well, this was his best finish ever at the Indy 500, though. His previous best finish was 5th. So it was an improvement. He walked away with nearly $1 million check from the bankroll. But just because you get that pole doesn't mean you're going to get the win. The last guy to do it was Elliott.
Well, we said that on last week's show, of course.
Yeah.
Johnny Palmer and I were speechless watching some of the moves from Alexander Rossi. Came from the final row up to 4th position. The outside passes at all stages. He was the first person to get the outside groove working, and then as everybody else thought, well, that's a good idea, he started diving down the inside. It looked like a video game at times. I mean, I loved it. I haven't seen too much after it because I've been too busy. I mean, were some of the drivers a little bit sort of eyebrow raised about some of the risks that went on, or is that all fair game at Indy?
It's pretty much fair game, but I did see a lot of Twitterage about concerns of safety. Clearly those cars were not the best handling. They weren't glued down to the racetrack as some drivers were driving them. A perfect example would be Bourdais losing it all on his own, TK losing it all. Like guys that don't make mistakes, losing their cars completely solo and not collecting anyone. Elio, another good example. But when Rossi was going around the outside of people, there was one restart where he went 3 wide into turn 1.
That was the one where Johnny and I just looked at each other and we were slap-jawed at that. In fact, Johnny actually stopped eating his burger at that point.
What? Johnny stopped eating?
Yeah, there you go. You realise how significant that was.
No, it's true. But you've got to think about it for a moment and consider the safety risk, I guess, that was taken in making those passes. But as you said, it's the Indy 500. You go for it.
Robert Wiggins, Rookie of the Year in terms of his finish. Saw a little bit of redemption for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsport. I'm deliberately not talking about what happened at the early part of Indy because nobody's told the true full story yet, and I mean nobody. So I'm leaving that to one side. If we get the opportunity to bring the full story to air, then we will. However, nobody, and I mean nobody, has got the full story yet. It's a very, very important component about that story, which I'm surprised no one else has stumbled over at the moment because it's common knowledge in the IndyCar paddock. But anyway, let's leave that. So well done to Robert Wiggins and the Rookie of the Year. In terms, I mean, we said last week before the race, I said, listen, can anybody stop the Penske powerhouse? They couldn't, but in fairness, Penske didn't dominate the race in the way I thought they might.
They didn't need to, though. You only need to lead one lap, and that's the last one.
There you go.
Nobody knows that better than Roger.
Yes, the old warhorse continues. So, large points haul for the people at the front of the field. So as we go into the Belle Isle double, which which is next weekend. Shay and I will be there for IMSA, of which more in a moment. We have Will Power leading, Alex Wilson second, Joseph Newgard third place, in a good spot to defend his championship. He had a quiet Indy 500 but picked up points. Dixie, we'll see your both comment. Ryan Hunter Ray next, then Graham Rahal, who I thought actually did a pretty good job for a Honda powered driver. Then Wiggins, then Bourdais, then Pagenaud, and then Hinchcliffe having not scored. It's 2 races at Belle Isle. Typically the first one is a little conservative, and then everything goes bonkers in the second one.
And it should be pretty entertaining because in years past, we've seen Penske sweep the weekend with 2 different drivers. We've seen Graham Rahal come in and win both races. Is it going to be one driver who figures it out and collects close to 100 points next weekend? Is it going to be one team that nails it and maybe splits the victories between their drivers? It's a Penske track. Keep in mind, this is a Penske event. You've got to think that coming off of not only the Indy Grand Prix win and the Indy 500 win, Will Power is going to be somebody who's tough to reckon with. But there are a lot of drivers out there looking for a bit of redemption after what we saw last Sunday.
Yes, indeed.